Hello children, today we will continue respiration life process. Last time we discussed different ways of breakdown of glucose, site of respiration, aerobic and anaerobic respiration, respiration in plants, aquatic organisms and terrestrial organisms. Today we continue with the human respiratory system. Respiration involves taking in oxygen into the cells, using it for releasing energy by burning food, and then eliminating the waste products like carbon dioxide and water from the body. It's a catabolic process. Food is broken down into simpler forms. So you can say actually it is a biochemical process, so two parts are there. In one part, taking in oxygen and removing of carbon dioxide. In other part are use of oxygen for oxidation of food. So there are two terms, breathing and respiration. You can say breathing is just a part of the respiration. And so in the breathing, that is a mechanism by which organism obtain oxygen from the air and release carbon dioxide. जस्ट एक पार्ट रेस्पिरेशन का है. और रेस्पिरेशन में क्या होता है? ब्रीदिंग एज वेल एज ऑक्सीडेशन ऑफ फूड इन द सेल्स टू रिलीज energy. So breathing is purely a physical process, but respiration is a biochemical process. Chemical reaction occur inside the body. Breathing that involves special respiratory organs or breathing apparatus involves lungs. Here in the respiration occur in every cell. It involves mitochondria in the cell where the food is oxidized to release energy. Human respiratory system, two basic components. One is a tract, another is respiratory organ. Respiratory tract or the passage is which allows movement of inspired and expired air into and out of the lungs. Lungs, they are the respiratory organs. So respiratory tract or respiratory passage includes nostrils, nasal chamber, internal nares, pharynx, larynx and trachea. In the human respiratory system, respiratory passage means air enters through the nostrils. Inside the nostril, there are fine hairs that form the lining of the passage, which filters the air. Passage is also lined by a mucus, which helps in this process. So air is filtered with the help of hair as well as mucus present in the nostril. Then the air passes through the throat into the trachea. The air passes through the throat, enters air through the trachea into the lungs. These trachea that is lined by the cartilage, ये जो rings दिखाई दे रही हैं, they are cartilaginous rings, and these are present in the throat portion so that at air passage it never collapses even when there is no air. Within the lungs, this divide into smaller and smaller tubes which finally terminates into alveoli. Alveoli that provide large surface area. This large surface area help in exchange of gases. So these trachea, they enter, there are primary bronchioles, then secondary bronchioles, tertiary bronchioles. Ultimately, they end into these balloon-like structure. Here it is seen separately, and these are known as alveoli that provide a large surface area. So this hole is also known as bronchial tree. It is in the form of tree branches of, like the branches of the tree. So a large surface area is there. The respiratory organs, that is the lungs, branching network of bronchi, bronchioles and alveoli, they make the lungs. There are two lungs present in the chest cavity, and they are in the middle there is present heart. Lungs, they are covered by a double layered pleural membrane, and in between two membranes there is present a fluid, pleural fluid, that act as a lubricant. Now during the breathing there is inhalation and exhalation. When we breathe in, जब हम सांस अंदर लेते हैं, then we lift our ribs like this. The lip cage rises, flattens diaphragm. This is the diaphragm, and it comes down. Chest cavity, the whole of this chest cavity, it expands. It becomes larger. Air pressure in the chest cavity decreases. Air always rush from the region of high pressure to the low pressure. So here in the atmosphere, air pressure is high and it rushes inside the chest cavity and inside the lungs. So this is what is inhalation. Then during exhalation, that is often a passive event. Here the air rushes from the lungs to outside. Rib cage lowers. Diaphragm relaxes, moves upward. Chest cavity becomes smaller, and pressure in the chest cavity increases. Pressure in the lungs increases. So air moves from high pressure to the lower pressure. So it is pushed out of the lungs. That is the process of exhalation. Now, alveoli, they are they have thin membrane, and they are highly vascular also. They are rich in blood capillaries. Last time we discussed any respiratory membrane, it has certain characteristic feature. It is thin, delicate, moist, highly vascular and large surface area. So all these characteristics, they are present in the alveoli. So alveoli provide a large surface area. Carbon dioxide from the whole body is brought to alveoli blood vessels. तो इनके आसपास जो भी blood vessels होती हैं उनमें आती है कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड. And cavities of the alveoli, they are rich in oxygen. वो inhaled air जो होती है, that contains more oxygen. So oxygen diffuses from alveoli to the blood. Carbon dioxide diffuses from blood to alveoli. Or you can say there is exchange of gases at the alveoli surface. So we see that even after exhalation, when the air is pushed out, some volume of air that is always present in the lungs, and this is called residual volume. So that even exchange of air occurs even after expiration or exhalation. तब भी थोड़ी बहुत एक्सचेंज जो है वो चलती रहती है. And because residual volume remains in the lungs, there is sufficient time for oxygen and to be absorbed and carbon dioxide to be released. अब जो large animals हैं like the human beings, उनमें क्या होता है, ऑक्सीजन प्रेजेंट हियर इन द लंग्स बट इट इज रिक्वायर्ड बाय एवरी पार्ट ऑफ द बॉडी। हमारे दूर दूर के पार्ट्स, ब्रेन को, फुट को, सभी सेल्स को ऑक्सीजन चाहिए। सो ऑक्सीजन जो है दैट इज कैरिड बाय द ब्लड। ये जो ब्लड जिसमें ऑक्सीजन डिफ्यूज हो गई, ये ब्लड वेसल से जो है इट इज डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड टू ऑल ओवर द बॉडी एंड दैट वी विल आल्सो डिस्कस इन द सर्कुलेटरी सिस्टम। बट हियर क्योंकि बड़े ऑर्गेनिजम्स को ज़्यादा ऑक्सीजन चाहिए और ऑक्सीजन इज कैरिड इन द ब्लड while it is attached to a pigment molecule. Pigment in the humans is hemoglobin. Hemoglobin in a red colored pigment, it is present in the RBCs, red blood cells of the body. तो RBCs के साथ ऑक्सीजन अटैच हो जाती है, then it is brought to different cells, different tissues. What happen in the tissues? In the tissues there is a lot of metabolic activities. Carbon dioxide is more and oxygen is less. So just like here lungs, tissues में जाके भी exchange of gases occur where carbon dioxide diffuses into the blood and oxygen diffuses into the tissues from the blood. So this is just brief transport and then we will discuss it in detail during the transport system. So this is all about the human respiratory system and you will draw diagram of human respiratory system. Thank you so much.